Welcome to the third edition of the ICA weekend. And as I can see, food is something that brings people together, and I'm happy to see that, food in all its, aspects and forms and the different emotions that it evokes has brought you all together here. So thank you for joining us. Before we begin the inaugural session, a few words on the Indian culinary agenda, what has brought us together here this morning. ICA, or the Indian Culinary Agenda, is an agri-food think tank looking to fill the critical gap in food knowledge space. Indian food culture, consumption, trade, and diplomacy need strategic intervention, and that is what ICA aims to achieve. ICA is creating a dedicated platform for Indian food researchers, writers, authors, content creators, and entrepreneurs. It is a dedicated food forum that hosts discussions, connects knowledge workers, decodes market trends, and builds consensus for what's next in Indian food future. So that's ICA for you in brief. And now we'll move to the inaugural session. To start with, I would like to invite Mr. Om Routray, founder director of Vrihi Foundation, to the stage. Our guest of honor this morning is His Excellency Mr. M. Riaz Hamidullah, High Commissioner of Bangladesh to India. Sir, please join us on stage. Our keynote speaker for ICA Weekend 2026 is Mr. Tim Curtis, Director and Representative for the UNESCO New Delhi Regional Office for South Asia. I request Mr. Curtis to please join us on stage. I'm very glad to welcome our special guest, Mr. Amal Sinha, Director and Group CEO of BSES Delhi. And our special guest, Dr. Tripta Thakur, Vice Chancellor, Veer Madho Singh Bhandari, Uttarakhand Technical University. May I now invite Mr. Sankalp Vishnu, co-founder and director of Vrihi Foundation, to felicitate His Excellency Mr. M. Riaz Hamidullah, High Commissioner of Bangladesh to India. I now invite Tanushree Bhaumik, co-founder of the Vrihi Foundation, to felicitate Dr. Tripta Thakur, Vice Chancellor, Veer Madho Singh Bhandari, Uttarakhand Technical University. And now, Mr. Om Routray, please felicitate Mr. Amal Sinha, Director and Group CEO of BSES Delhi. And Sankalp, could you please come back on stage to felicitate Mr. Tim Curtis, Director and Representative for the UNESCO New Delhi Regional Office for South Asia. I would now invite Mr. Om Routray, founder of Vrihi Foundation, for the welcome address.
His Excellency M. Riaz Hamidullah, High Commissioner of Bangladesh to India. Dr. Tripta Thakur, Vice Chancellor, Veer Madho Singh Bhandari, Uttarakhand Technical University. Mr. Tim Curtis, Director and Representative for the UNESCO Regional Office for South Asia. Mr. Amal Sinha, Director and Group CEO of BSES Delhi. Dignitaries, writing prize finalists, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for being here on a Sunday morning. This is the third time I'm standing here, and I'm still grateful for everyone who believed in the idea behind the Indian culinary agenda. It seemed obvious to that food, agriculture, academia, and diplomacy are naturally connected sectors. It took us some time, but I think the people present in the room today are a testament to that belief. We are all allies here. Between last year and this, there has been a few developments. We made a short film on small dairies of Delhi in partnership with Delhi Food Works, and that will be screened later today. BSES had funded the initiative. We started a project to develop a national playbook for Indian heritage commodities, focusing on 4 unique ingredients: mahua, jamun, turmeric, and galgal. The initiative is being implemented in partnership with Eggdown Technologies and is supported by the Asia Foundation. We recently announced the Culinary Lens Fellowship in partnership with IIM Kozhikode. We will sign the MOU later today. And we have successfully completed the 3rd edition of ICA Food Writing Prize. You will see the presentations from the finalists later today. There is a lot more that will be announced in coming weeks. Going forward, there are a few organizational changes that we want to also inform you about. Going forward, all knowledge activities will be led by the Indian Culinary Agenda, and the policy and diplomacy activities will be led by the parent organization, Vrihi Foundation. So I think that's all I wanted to say today. I'll not stand between you and much more accomplished speakers any longer. Thank you for being here.
I would now request our special guest, Dr. Tripta Thakur, Vice Chancellor, Veer, Madho, Singh, Bhandari, Uttarakhand Technical University, to say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much. I am honored and privileged to stand here today. Respected M. Riaz, Hamidullah ji, High Commissioner of Bangladesh, Mr. Tim Kotis, Director, UNESCO Representative from the UNESCO Regional Office in New Delhi, our own Amal Sinha ji, because I have worked in energy sector very closely, Amal Sinha ji, Director and Group CEO of BSES, Routray, and ladies and gentlemen, and I should not forget Tanushree here, who is the main person organizing this event as well as connecting all of us. So I am really surprised when I joined as a VC, Uttarakhand Technical University, and very first month I have a chance to visit Berlin, because Uttarakhand state would like to do one MOU with Berlin University in the knowledge partnership of IIT. When I met the High Commission there, they were saying the food is the most important thing. And you are coming from Uttarakhand, and in Germany, we love Indian foods, and we really would like to have a connection with the entrepreneurs from Uttarakhand, because there is no need to take license if the food is coming from Uttarakhand. So I realized, and then I have a talk with Om and Tanushree, that how we can establish innovation center, R&D center in agriculture and technology, because technology is going to play a major role in this area. So soon we are going to have an MOU with them, and we would like to start. And another thing which Uttarakhand is known is for hospitality. Everyone would like to visit Uttarakhand once in their life. I was discussing with the lady from Australia, and Uttarakhand is a yoga. Rishikesh is known as an international city for yoga. And what is missing, because in my university, all the hospitality and tourism institute are coming under my university. When I discuss with them, then I realized there was no training and capacity building for them. There is no hand-holding. I asked the director that, have you ever gone for any training? Because I earlier worked in Training and Capacity Institute. So I realized that how important role training and capacity building is playing. Then I was surprised. Then again, with the help of Vrihi Foundation, we are going to sign an MOU that how to train. So first we want to train the leaders, and then these leaders will become trainers, and then they can train further. So we are especially with the AIT, because Thailand is known for hospitality and the tourism. So we would like to do a training program with the help of this Vrihi Foundation in the form of MOU with the Uttarakhand state. And also we are in the process for providing hand-holding for the girls, especially from Uttarakhand, who are in the hospitality sector, because if they will become professional, the Uttarakhand has a lot of potential, and our Honorable Prime Minister is always telling that the new centuries for Uttarakhand. I'm really don't know that how much development and how much indigenous development and sustainable development are going to help the Uttarakhand. But one thing is very sure, that there is a huge potential, and there is a lacking of agriculture sector, technology, R&D, and IIT Ropar also, we are working with them. They are also got 100 crore rupees funding to use AI in agriculture sector. So with their help also, we would like to establish the incubation sector where technology, agriculture, food, and hospitality can merge together. But today's topic is very, very interesting because we are talking about the simple, it looks very simple that we are talking about food, especially the street food, but it is not so simple. It is deeply layered subject which is connecting so many things. Here we can talk about the technology, public policy, relationship, everything is coming in this street food. And someone like me who are coming from technical background, academic leadership background, I see street food not merely as a culinary experience but as a living laboratory. Why? Because it's an ecosystem where economics, engineers, social science, and sustainability intersect with each other. So, lot of things can be done through the street food, which is the most democratic expression of culture. And unlike curated dining, which we will witness today in the night, but the street food evolves organically with the people. It connects people. All the places you can see that street food connect student, connect parents, and connect food from the different states. So culture integration is possible in this small shops, which is the street food shop. So it also addresses the very important issue of migration and informal economics. So when you realize technical or economic lens, street food is a major component of the informal sector. And there is a need to work on the informal sector right now. So a larger number of migrants, if you see in the street foods, are migrant from different states, and they bring regional recipes into urban center. They create micro enterprise with very low capital. This raises important question. How do cities absorb migrant entrepreneurships? How do policies restrict them? And street food is therefore not just about food, it is about livelihood, dignity, and inclusive urban growth. So all of us, we are talking into a very, very important topic today of the informal sector and how the policy and regulation with the help of new technology, with disruptive technology which is coming up like AI, and this is certainly going to help everywhere. We have seen that how wonderfully we are integrating UPI. Every street vendor has a UPI. So we need not to go anywhere with the purse and money. You just scan and they are so used to of us. So this is the technology penetration. Next technology penetrations will help them to regulate nicely, and this technology will help them in future. Maybe many things, complex integration is possible with the help of technology immersion. So I really would like to congratulate the organizer, Vrihi Foundation, for talking about these issues of street food vendor and how they can be more improved with the help of technology. And I'm looking forward for an MOU from Uttarakhand Technical University with the Veer Foundation so that we can provide in Uttarakhand the trained manpower in hospitality sector, food sector, and in the leadership in the food sector. And especially, I'm also very eager to find it out a route for research and innovation in agriculture sector, in technology penetration, as well as hospitality sector, and through training and capacity building. And especially, I'm very much excited to train the women, especially who are in the hospitality sector, the girls, and they will be trained in Uttarakhand as well as they will be trained in Asian Institute of Technology. Looking forward for that collaboration, and maybe we will discuss the outcome in the third event of ICA weekend in 2027. Thank you once again, and I hope this platform will give more to us to contribute to the society. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Thakur. I would now request Mr. Amal Sinha, Director of BSES Delhi, to come and address the audience. Thank you, sir.
So today, it's a great pleasure to be here with all of you this morning. I with Mr. Routray, Dr. Tripta, Thakur, His Excellency Mr. Riaz, Hamidullah, High Commissioner of Bangladesh to India, Mr. Tim Curtis, Mr. Sankalp, Vishnu, and Miss Tanushri Bhaumik, all my distinguished guests here, ladies and gentlemen. I went through the agenda, and interestingly, it said that I have to speak for 17 minutes. So, to that precision, we are looking at. So, I was thinking that I must be well prepared. And I spent some time yesterday to put my notes together. And I would request you to give some patience here. I'm just going to read out my thoughts. Let me begin by thanking the organizers of ICA Weekend 2026 for inviting me to be part of this very thoughtful and distinctive gathering. The Indian culinary agenda has created a rare and important platform, one that brings together food, culture, policy, research, and public discourses with seriousness and imagination. That is both very timely and valuable. ICA Weekend was conceived as a serious forum connecting writers, researchers, innovators, policymakers, and industry around food, and this year's edition carries that vision forward with great relevance. This year's theme, Street Food as a Lens to Culture, Policy, and Migration, is especially compelling because street food is never just about what is served on a plate. It is a lens into culture because it carries memories, identity, and local pride. It is a lens into migration because recipes travel with people, communities settle in new places, and their food gradually becomes part of a city's character. And it is a lens into policy because livelihoods, vending spaces, hygiene, regulation, infrastructure, and urban planning all shape together how this ecosystem survives and grows. In India, street food is one of the most vivid expressions of everyday civilization. It is democratic, adaptive, and deeply social. It is where enterprise meets emotion and where a city reveals its most honestly. A plate of chaat, a dosha, or on a busy pavement, a kebab in a market lane, or a cup of chai at a street corner. All these are not merely food items. They are living stories of labor, movement, migration, assimilation, and aspiration of the people of this country. Street food also tells us something profound about India itself. Ours is a civilization that absorbs, adapts, and enriches. Communities move, but flavors travel with them. A recipe born in one region acquires a new accent in another. A migrant's meal becomes a city's favorite. In that sense, street food is not only a culinary category, it is a map of India's social journey. Take Punjab chole bhature. Now, if I go to East, they are very fond of looking into chole bhature. Any part of India you go, more than what we see in North. Chole bhature has become very popular. When I came to Delhi in 1970, I am here since 1970, the Bengali rasgullas were not so good. They were very, very sweet. But today you find very good locations where you can have very good Bengali rasgullas and sandesh. Similarly, when we came here in 1970, nobody knew about the Chhat Puja. Nobody knew about the Litti Chokha. I come from Bihar. And now, it is something which people talk about it. They want to eat it. So over a period of time, as myself, I can say I migrated from Bihar. I acquired the local culture and I brought something from Bihar. And that is how the migration and the food, travels, which I was trying to summarize earlier. Each tells a larger story of movement and assimilation. Food travels with people, settles in new places, and over time becomes part of a city's shared taste and identity. I never knew when I was eating a golgappa recently that it comes from a place called Madhubani in Bihar. Originally, it was prepared there. So you actually don't know many of the things which you eat, where it has originated. I think we have people like Om and Tanushri who can tell us in times to come. That is why this theme matters so much. At first glance, one may ask, where does a power utility fit into a conversation of street food? And that is what I was wondering yesterday, that with this august audience, how do I build a bridge between my business and the culinary agenda which we have today? But I found that the connection is very natural. I'll just try to summarize my thoughts here. At BSES, as you know, we are a power distribution company, and we are a company which actually gives life to the city in terms of electricity, what we provide. Electricity is not now merely a utility service. It is a foundational enabler of modern urban life. It powers home, schools, hospital, public transport, markets, enterprises, and digital services. It also powers food businesses, the restaurants, cloud kitchens, food processing, storage of food items, lighting of food items, ventilation, and other wider commercial ecosystem that sustains a city's food culture. If food gives city its flavor, energy gives that city its momentum, its life. That is why BSCS sees a meaningful connection and an opportunity of collaboration with the culinary ecosystem, not only as a provider of reliable electricity, but as a committed partner in building a cleaner, more efficient, and more future-ready Delhi. At BSCS, we have consistently worked to strengthen and modernize Delhi power network, make consumer services more digital and accessible, and promote energy conservation. We believe sustainability cannot remain a slogan on the sidelines. It must become a part of the main framework of development, and that principle applies as much to the food ecosystem as it does to the power sector, and that is where we connect with the culinary ecosystem. In fact, if one looks closely, street food is also a lens into everyday enterprise. Behind every cart, stall, kiosk, dhaba, and small kitchen lies a practical ecosystem of fuel, energy, safety, cost, efficiency, and sustainability. It is also a reminder that safer cooking and safer electrical practices are essential not only for continuity of business, but for protecting lives, livelihoods, and public spaces. And that is why one part of today's program is especially significant. This year, the ICA Spotlight addresses the cooking fuel challenge in Indian commercial cooking through a panel on clean and alternative cooking solutions for commercial kitchens, including the exploration of LPG alternatives for the food industry. That is a timely and necessary conversion. In fact, just recently we were discussing in a forum because of the West Asia crisis that how energy security can be there in our kitchens and how electrical gadgets can be used for cooking and how we can promote that. So the time also teaches us and gives us an opportunity, as we move forward in life. Because of those who cook for a living, whether in a restaurant kitchen, a food outlet, or a small commercial setup, energy is not a background input. It is central to the enterprise itself. It shapes cost, efficiency, safety, consistency, and sustainability. And as India's food economy expands, the question of cooking fuel and energy efficiency will become even more important. The future of food cannot be separated from the future of energy. In the power sector, we speak of efficiency, optimization, resolution, and demand management. In the culinary world, the language may be different. Preparation time, heat control, consistency in quality and service. But the underlying principle is remarkable, similar. Performance improves when systems are well managed, well integrated, waste is minimized, and efficiency becomes second in nature. We cannot think about the future of street food in isolation from the future of cities themselves. If street vendors neighborhood kitchens, restaurant and food enterprises are part of a living fabric of urban India, then the system that supports them, energy, safety, public spaces and policy, must evolve with equal seriousness. This is why forums like ICA Weekend are so valuable. ICA Weekend 2026 brings together more than 100 voices from the Indian food knowledge and policy ecosystem. That kind of cross-sector dialogue is exactly what our times demand. I would like to acknowledge the screening today of the short film on small dairy owners of Delhi, made by ICA and Delhi Food Walks with support from BSES. That too is meaningful because behind every sector and every supply chain are real people whose transitions deserve visibility. Let me conclude with this. Street food teaches us that cities are not built by infrastructure alone. They are built by people, by movement, by enterprise, by memory, and by the genius of everyday life. To understand street food is to understand something essential about culture, policy, and migration, but also about dignity, livelihood, and urban belonging. I congratulate Indian culinary agenda, the mastermind behind it, Om and Tanushri. I've become a fan of both of them, by the way, for curating a platform of such depth and relevance. At BSES, we are proud to support conversations that combine sustainability with public purpose, and I'm confident that ICA Weekend 2026 will generate meaningful dialogue and fresh thinking for the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sinha. And now it's time for the keynote address by Mr. Tim Curtis, Director and UNESCO Representative for the UNESCO Regional Office in New Delhi. I would like to say a few words before Mr. Curtis takes. Tim Curtis is the Director and UNESCO Representative of the New Delhi Regional Office for South Asia, covering Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal, the Maldives, and Sri Lanka, a position he has held since October 2023. Prior to this appointment, he served for close to 8 years as the Secretary of UNESCO's 2003 Convention for the Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage, overseeing both the statutory and operational dimensions of UNESCO's Global Program for Living Heritage from UNESCO headquarters in Paris. He has close to 30 years of experience in the field of culture and sustainable development in diverse contexts, with research and professional experience in the Pacific, East Africa, Southeast, and South Asia, as well as Europe. He holds a PhD in cultural anthropology from the Research School of Pacific and Asian Studies at the Australian National University and has served with UNESCO for over 20 years across 3 continents. Mr. Curtis, it is my pleasure to invite you to say a few words.
Thank you. His Excellency Mr. Riaz Hamidullah, High Commissioner of Bangladesh to India, Dr. Tripta Thakur, Vice Chancellor, Mr. Amal, Director and Group CEO of BSES Delhi, and of course, Mr. Routray and Mr. Sankalp Vishnu, who are the founders of the Vrihi Foundation. Everybody here, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, namaste. It's really wonderful to be here for what I think is a very exciting topic. So I'd like to begin today, not with a definition, but of an image. An image of a street food vendor in Old Delhi at dawn, with the coal glowing and the smell arriving before the sun rises. She has been at this, doing this for about 30 years, and her mother was doing it before her. The recipes she uses were never written down. They live in her hands, and every morning a crowd gathers. Regulars from the neighborhood, a laborer who's walked from a construction site a couple of kilometers away, a student who grew up on the other side of the country and found something here that tastes almost like home. That stall is many things at once. It's a livelihood, it's a memory, and it's a migration story. And it is a living cultural heritage, as rich and complex as anything you might find in a museum. And that's what I'd like to explore today. The idea of food as heritage and the concept of what we call foodways. At UNESCO, we speak of intangible cultural heritage. the living practices, knowledge systems, and expressions that communities recognize as integral to their identity. They involve crafts, oral traditions, festivals, but foodways also sit at the very heart of this concept. Because foodways are more than what we eat, they encompass entire systems of knowledge. How food is grown, how it is prepared, how it is shared, and how it is remembered. They are passed on, not through formal instruction, but through observation, practice, and presence. A grandmother's instinctive measure of spices, a farmer's intimate knowledge of seasonal cycles, a community gathering around a shared meal at a festival. These are expressions of who people are and where people come from. And of course, perhaps nowhere are foodways more visible, and particularly for cities, or more dynamic than in street food. Street food is where foodways become urban and where they become public. Street food brings the kitchen into the public sphere. It transforms private knowledge into shared experience and turns food into a living cultural space. Informal, but still deeply structured, spontaneous, but still rooted in tradition. Street food spaces are where communities come alive and where conversations flow across boundaries of class, of language, and neighborhood. Where identities are affirmed, but also sometimes quietly renegotiated. For many people, and this is what I'd like to dwell on a bit today, and in line with the topic, street food is above all an experience of migration. Internal migrants who have left their villages for the city. Refugees rebuilding lives in unfamiliar places. Workers far from home who find in a particular dish or a particular smell something that returns them briefly to where they belong. Street food economies around the world are often sustained by these migrants, both internal migrants and cross-border migrants, who carry culinary knowledge shaped by movement, by displacement, and adaptation. And in this sense, street food is not only cultural expression, it is also the biography of mobility itself. A single dish can carry centuries of exchange, ingredients from one region, techniques from another, adapted over time to local tastes and conditions. Just think of the journey of the chili, which is a New World crop that became inseparable from South Asian cuisine within only 2 centuries. Or the way dosas across the Indian Ocean and found new forms across Southeast Asia. Food moves because people move. And when people move under pressure, as migrants, as displaced communities, as those seeking work, their food becomes the most tenacious carrier of their identity, the thing most resistant to erasure. At UNESCO, we recognize intangible cultural heritage as heritage, and the UNESCO representative list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity now includes more than 50 inscribed culinary practices, reflecting themes of social cohesion, community identity, and also what we can call food diplomacy. For example, 8 of these inscriptions are multinational nominations, countries jointly recognizing shared food heritage across borders. At a time when the world often emphasizes difference, these nominations are a quiet but powerful act of solidarity. Living heritage becomes a language of cooperation, of shared identity across national and political lines. But for our discussions today, probably the most relevant inscribed element is Singapore's hawker culture, which was inscribed in 2020 on the UNESCO representative list. Hawker centers in Singapore are food markets, but they are also community dining spaces where different ethnic communities, Chinese, Malay, Indian, and others, eat side by side every day in an urban environment and in a modern urban environment that might otherwise fragment along communal lines. Crucially, they reflect the history of migration. The food itself is the record of who came from where and how they settled. But Singapore made a deliberate policy choice to protect and integrate hawker culture into its vastly growing urban fabric, providing affordable stalls, sustaining transmission to younger vendors, and recognizing, just the fact of recognizing hawkers as custodians of heritage, not just as informal traders. This is a model that has been successful and could be replicated. But India, of course, offers some of the world's most compelling examples of how culinary heritage shapes urban identity. UNESCO has recognized 2 Indian cities, Lucknow and Hyderabad, under the Creative Cities Network in the field of gastronomy, celebrating the extraordinary depth and layering of their food traditions. And India's street food is also inseparable from the story of migration. The Chaat of Delhi carries traces of partition. The Vada Pav of Mumbai reflects the great internal migrations that built that city. The street food of any major Indian city is, in real sense, a palimpsest of human movement, each wave of arrivals leaving its mark on what is cooked, what is sold, and what is eaten in the public space. And this is a heritage of extraordinary richness, even if it can be fragile, because street food spaces by their nature are dynamic and vulnerable. Rapid urbanization, changing consumer habits, and regulatory pressure often push street food vendors to the margins, sometimes removing them entirely from the urban landscape in the name of modernization or of hygiene. And when that happens, we do lose something, and we lose more than a stall. We lose repositories of cultural knowledge. We lose entry points into urban livelihoods for newly arrived migrants. We lose the informal community spaces where social cohesion is quietly maintained meal by meal. And we often lose the most marginalized. Many street food traditions are sustained by women, by family enterprises, and by communities whose knowledge systems are undervalued precisely because they operate outside of formal structures. So any serious policy framework must recognize these vendors not as problems to be managed, but as bearers of heritage to be supported. Safeguarding street food means moving also beyond just preservation as documentation, the archive, the photograph, the ethnographic record, towards safeguarding as a living, evolving practice. It means inclusive participatory policy. It means giving vendors genuine agency in decisions about the spaces they inhabit. So at the moment, at a global level, UNESCO is developing an international food atlas and a digital platform to document and transmit foodways across generations, tools that can help make this heritage visible and valued at scale. But platforms and databases are not sufficient on their own. The challenge is to move from appreciation to action, integrating cultural heritage into urban planning, supporting vendors through inclusive regulation, ensuring that safeguarding is led with communities rather than imposed on them. How many urban plans recognize markets, street food, as part of their cultural heritage? There are some cities that have done it. The city of Bogota in Colombia has now identified its street vendors and its markets as part of the heritage of the city to be protected. Because when street food ecosystems are properly supported, they also contribute to employment, to food security, to tourism and inclusive cities. They are, in a very practical sense, instruments of sustainable development. So I invite you all the next time, and we all do, you stand at a street food stall waiting for your order, to take a moment to look around and maybe listen. Look at who is cooking. There's a good chance they came from somewhere else, another state, another country, another life. Their presence here and this food are part of the same story. And what you're witnessing is not just a transaction. It is culture being practiced, negotiated and shared in real time. It's the resilience of people who carry their heritage with them across distances and find new ways to make it live in new places. So I think we should all continue to see this not only as heritage to be celebrated, but as a pathway towards dialogue, dignity, and more inclusive and sustainable futures. And in that sense, it remains one of the most powerful expressions of our shared humanity. With that, I'd like to thank you very much and wish you a wonderful discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis. I would now invite our guest of honor, His Excellency Mr. M. Riaz Hamidullah, High Commissioner of Bangladesh to India, to address the audience.
Good morning, namaskar. On stage, Mr. Om, team, I call him Tim because he's a dear friend. Amal Sinha and Vice Chancellor. So much of scholarship, expertise, practitioner. I think you're already, I feel that there's nothing left. And I have an advantage and disadvantage. I don't have any script. So I can talk, and if you stand to get bored, please excuse me for that. I was really thinking that how do I add value? And I would think of bringing before you possibly 3 things so that you know it's 1, 2, 3, very easy. I was in a part of Europe called Netherlands for some time, and the Dutch are known to be spice traders. So I would call them, invite them at home, and I'd said, one day I realized that, if you serve a Dutch food, but let's say biryani, they would come, they would take first serving, they would sweat, literally sweat, get red. They come for the second help. I asked, when are you coming? I said, I won't charge you. They said, no, it's great fun. Again, third help. I said, why? He said, it's so tasty, yummy, great. But I say, what happened to your kitchen? You are the spice traders. None of you could make them laugh. Team, point noted. UNESCO, I think you have to, no, very serious. I said, and I get the hold of my next door neighbor. I said, I want to inspect your kitchen. And the lady was about to be offended. Then they admitted. And that's been my 4 years journey. I said, what's your favorite spice? And then they would make an admission that, yes, 4 centuries back, we were the spice traders from Indonesia all over, but we can't handle spice. I love that. So see the dichotomy that the world who command wealth, they can't handle spice, as basic as that. Is there something? I don't know. You think about it. Second point, I represent the people here. Bengalis and Bangladeshis are quintessential argumentative. We talk, we love to talk. Yeah, I can see one hand. Yeah, someone proudly saying, we are fishy. Fishy both ways. Be careful. We have, another hand, we have very strong sweet tooth. And everyone, you heard only one name called Rasgulla. It's not Rasgulla, it's Rasgulla. That's right, thank you. And we have tons of sweets. Every district, every village will have, fight even, not like the former zamindars, that, my sweet is the greatest and etc. Now, what does it tell? Now, let's come to a serious thing. So, almost 13 years back, the US ambassador get holds of me. We were in a serious negotiation, and he tells me, I still remember, he said, Riaz, do you know how many rice varieties were there in Bangladesh? I said, what kind of question is that? Why am I supposed to know that? Then he said, you had thousands of varieties. Now, this is really serious, because here we are talking of culture to agriculture. Let's get it right. I said, I don't know. And he said, you have thousands of varieties. I said, now he said, you have only 700 to 800 varieties. And I got very serious as a diplomat. Diplomats are a very strange tribe, We can confuse people, we can get away doing nothing and so forth. And I said, 700, what happened? I got very curious. I went to our Agriculture Research Council, which is Pusa campus here, and I would ask you each to do this, because you are talking of street food, but I'll also come to that. Then what I realized is that the whole thing is about economics. Now again, dichotomy. We don't realize that. We love spices, but then we have traded away taste. Go to a place here in Delhi called Center for Science and Environment, and I would ask each of you to pick up this book called Taste of Food. It's by a lady called Padma Shri Sunita Narayan. I know some people don't like her. That's another story. But Sunita is a rebel. You go to their place, you'd see how they're constantly experimenting. I've known her a long time. Down to Earth has been saying this, but I think that's another dichotomy. We talk of street food, you talk about identity, you talk about many things, but you don't realize, I don't realize that many things are going away from our life. These are finer aspects of life. So politicians and everything, the necessity dictates that we have to secure food supply, food security, everything. You have traded away. But hold on, how things are coming back. Today, when I go back, last time I was in Dhaka, I found that someone was buying red rice. I said, why? Because I have diabetes in family. I said, oh, great thing. So what happened to your basmati favorite thing and all that? Oh, no, that's high glycemic index, and then, you have to go back to red rice. How much is the price? 150 taka per kg. Yeah, don't yawn. That's true. And this is something very real. Why? I said, you're going back to square zero. So, when you talk of what are we really asking about? Are you asking about taste, nutrition, safety, what? Sir, I'm looking at you. You talk of policy? Let me challenge you on policy. Sorry, because we're strange type, I can get away. No immunity. But then come back to fish as well. Those of you, no aspersion the vegetarians, all respected. Because Bengalis are, you can kill them, but you can't take away their fish. We are fishy, and we'll come back with a second identity of fishy. Now, I realized that we had a famous fish called hilsa. We fight over that, both sides. That's another story. But look at any fish. I realized 20, 30 years back, the normal rohu fish or other fish, the taste is gone. Then today, when you offer me, even if you offer me a great too, but then you put a lot of spices, the nutrition is killed. What are you then talking about? You go to any place, first thing I said, don't give me that, it's a fine dining, etc. Because I see that it's all floating in the mud of spice. The taste is gone. Or sometimes, they can depress or suppress a taste, a thing, and then get to sell anything. What are we then eating? What are you paying for? So fish is another thing. Because fish, you have lots of bony fish, and there's another thing. But thing is that, we take fish, everyone, because of taste of it. I think salmon, they have killed fish, taste, frankly speaking. Europeans, don't get it wrong. Because he's not a European, by the way. That's why he can smile. But I think, look at this. Rice, as basic as rice, fish, bring our favorite fruit, mango. Same story. We have tried to augment production. Now the taste is gone. Sir, am I wrong? You imagine your childhood, that favorite mango. It's not. Fragrance is gone. Again, the very basic question. So, fragrance / aroma to taste, the color, everything. What are we doing to? Some said, जीने के लिए खाना होता है. अच्छा ठीक है, मान लिया. But then, I bring this before. It's not contradiction. It's not dilemma. I think when you talk of this street food, okay, let's come to street food. When you go, I think, team, you said one thing, and that I loved. Because when we go and, we are in a rush, we just go there, we pick up our golgappa or chaat, we don't talk. My best thing is that, when I go to Dhaka, I get on a rickshaw, first thing I ask, where are you from? They have tons of stories. Get them. It is their taste, it's the tales that are far more exciting and interesting than their taste. Please get it right. Why is it a route about Bihar? Bihar is a fantastic place where, each village, each, not district, have taste. But the way language changes in India, every 3 to 5 miles or kilometer, the taste also changes. But we have in the rush to numbers, to augmentation of production and everything, the production is there, we are happy. Then we forget about everything. We have got traded away with the finer aspects of life. That's what I would like to submit to you. As I listen to scholarship, I don't have anything. I'm just an ordinary man standing before you. I'm just trying to think that what really makes me, what crossed my path, and something other from Europe to Australia. And I say that, I won't dare to say something else because you're traded away with taste. But not on. I think I have tried to put before you some elements which should excite you, spark conversations. End of the day, as much as we celebrate food, we celebrate actually identities. We do not celebrate food. Yes, surely, but really we celebrate identities and let the identities get collapsed, and we really should celebrate the commonalities. That should really make us celebrate heritage. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. And now it is time for the vote of thanks. Tanushri Bhaumik, co-founder of Vrihi Foundation.
Let me first clear this. Your Excellency, with that note on fish and Rasgulla, everything else, is fine, falls into place for a Bengali. On that note, thank you everyone, and there is really no greater privilege than to be able to express gratitude. I see a lot of new faces, but I also see faces that have been with us for the past 3 years. And I think that is the testimony to probably this idea having merit. We were really,
there was a lot of self-doubt when we started this idea. We weren't sure if there is a space at all for deeper engagement in food. But I see you all, and I can't be more thankful. We're extremely thankful to His Excellency, Riaz Hamidullah sir, for gracing us today as the guest of honor. Any aspect of food, as you said, cannot be looked at in isolation, but needs to be looked as a matter of commonality and identity. And I think that's very important, especially in a region that is as interconnected as the subcontinent. Dr. Tripta Thakur, we are immensely thankful to you for not only being with us today, but for being a constant inspiration and support. It's my privilege to thank Mr. Tim Curtis, Director and Regional Representative for UNESCO in South Asia. Your keynote address, sir, on food as intangible heritage gives everyone present here not only food for thought, but in a country with growing interests to engage with food in through a multidisciplinary lenses. You're placing street food in the context of migration, identity, gender, and economies, recognizes and establishes street food vendors as custodians of heritage, and I think very importantly as agents of economic change and economies. We are immensely grateful to Mr. Amal Sinha, Director BSES Delhi, for being with us today, and to him and his entire team in BSES for believing in ICA Weekend and supporting us. This could not have been done without your support, sir. I thank all of you in the room for spending your precious Sunday morning with us, and to those who traveled from outside to Delhi to attend the ICA Weekend. I really hope that the day will be worthwhile your time. I wish you all a very fruitful and engaging day of discussions and deliberations. Thank you again.
I would now request Sankalp Vishnu, co-founder and director of Vrihi Foundation, to present our guests with a small token of our appreciation.